By 1896, the rebellion fermented by the Katipunan had become a full-blown revolution, proving to be a nationwide uprising. Rizal had earlier volunteered his service as a doctor in Cuba and was given leave by Governor General Ramon Blanco to serve in Cuba to minister to the victims of yellow fever. Rizal and Josephine left the Piton on August 1, 1896, with letter of recommendation from Blanco. Rizal was arrested en route to Cuba via Spain and was imprisoned in Barcelona on October 6, 1896. He was sent back the same day to Manila to stand trial. He was implicated in the revolution through his association with members of the Katipunan. During the entire passage, he was unchained. No Spaniard laid a hand on him, and had many opportunities to escape, but refused to do so. While imprisoned in Fort Santiago, he issued a manifesto disavowing the current revolution in its present state, and declaring that the education of the Filipinos and their achievement of a national identity were prerequisites to freedom. Rizal was tried before a court-martial for rebellion, sedition, and conspiracy, and was convicted on all three charges and sentenced to death. Blanco, who was sympathetic to Rizal, had been forced out of office. The friars led then Archbishop of Manila Bernardino Nozaleda had intercalated Camilo de Polavieja in his stead as the new Spanish Governor General of the Philippines, after pressuring Queen Regent Maria Cristina of Spain, thus sealing Rizal's fate. Moments before Rizal's execution on December 30, 1896, by a squad of Filipino soldiers of the Spanish Army, a backup force of regular Spanish Army troops stood ready to shoot the executioners should they fail to obey orders. The Spanish Army Surgeon General requested to take his pulse. It was normal. Aware of this, the sergeant commanding the backup force hushed his men to silence when they began raising vivas, with the highly partisan crowd of Peninsular and Mestizo Spaniards. His last words were those of Jesus Christ, "Consummatum est," meaning, "it is finished." He was secretly buried in Facal Cemetery in Manila with no identification on his grave. His sister Narcisa toured all possible grave sites and found freshly turned earth at the cemetery with guards posted at the gate. Assuming this could be the most likely spot, there never having been any ground burials, she made a gift to the caretaker to mark the site RPJ, Rizal's initials, in reverse. His undated poem Mi Ultimo Adios, believed to have been written a few days before his execution. It was hidden in an alcohol stove, which was later handed to his family with his few remaining possessions, including the final letters and his last bequests. During their visit, Rizal reminded his sister in English, "There is something inside it," referring to the alcohol stove given by the Pardo de Taveras, which was to be returned after his execution, thereby emphasizing the importance of the poem. This exhumation of his remains in August 1898, under American rule, revealed that he had been uncoffined. His burial was not on sanctified ground granted to be confessed, faithful, and whatever was in his shoes has disintegrated. He is now buried in the Rizal Monument in Manila. In his letter to his family, he wrote, "Treat our aged parents as you would wish to be treated. Love them greatly in memory of me." December 30, 1896. He gave his family instructions for his burial. "Bury me in the ground, place a stone and cross over it. My name, the date of my birth and of my death. Nothing more. If later you wish to surround my grave with a fence, you can do it. No anniversaries." In his final letter to Blumentritt, he said, "Tomorrow at 7 I shall be shot, but I am innocent of the crime of rebellion. I am going to die with a tranquil conscience. Rizal is believed to be the first Filipino revolutionary whose death is attributed entirely to his work as a writer, and through decent and civil disobedience enabled him to successfully destroy Spain's moral primacy to rule. He also bequeathed a book personally bound him in the Pitan to his best and dearest friend. When Blumentritt received it in his hometown of Litomeritz, he broke down and wept. After his death, the Philippine Revolution continued until 1898, and with the assistance of the United States, the Philippines declared its independence from Spain on June 12, 1898. This was the time that the Philippine flag was waved at General Emilio Aguinaldo's residence in Kawit, Cavite. Today, Dr. Rizal's brilliance, compassion, courage, and patriotism are greatly remembered and recognized by the Filipino people. His two novels are continuously being analyzed by students and professionals. Colleges and universities in the Philippines even require their students to take a subject which centers around the life and works of Rizal. Every year, the Filipinos celebrate Rizal Day on December 30 each year. To commemorate his life and works, Filipinos look back at how his founding of La Liga Filipina and his two novels had an effect on the early beginnings of the Philippine Revolution. The people also recognized his advocacy to achieve liberty through peaceful means rather than violent revolution. In honor of Rizal, memorials and statues of national hero can be found not only within the Philippines but in selected cities around the world. A road in the Chanakyapuri area of New Delhi, India, in Medan, Indonesia is named after him. The Jose Rizal Bridge and Rizal Park in the city of Seattle are also dedicated to the late hero. Within the Philippines, there are streets, towns or cities, a university, and a province named after him. 3 species have also been named after Rizal: the Draco rizali, which is a small lizard known as a flying dragon, Apogania rizali, a very rare kind of beetle with 5 horns, and the Rhicoporus rizali, a peculiar frog species. To commemorate what he did for the country, the Philippines built a memorial park for him, now referred to as the Rizal Park, found in Manila. There lies a monument which contains a standing bronze sculpture of Rizal, an obelisk, and a stone base said to contain his remains. The monument stands near the place where he fell during his execution in Luneta. And as for me, for us to achieve peace, each and every one of us should learn how to truly love our country and the people that lives in it, no matter how different we are from each other. Let us try to look on the bigger side that somehow, somewhere, everyone is facing different struggles that we know nothing about, and that we have to be considerate in these terms. Also, let us help ourselves to be educated with our own laws so that we will be able to follow it as long as we know that it is reasonable and for the people's own good. And in that way, we will be able to practice peace not just in our own community but with the whole world.